all the big mega banks, the Federal Reserve Bank boys, are consolidating and taking over the banks right now. 2 years ago, when they were trying to pass the Banking Reform Act to give the globalists more power, to reform it more in their corrupt image, the head of the Texas Banking Association came out and wrote an article that it sounded like I wrote. This is the big mega foreign banks taking over. They get all the free money out of the Treasury. They control the Congress. They're the ones that created the derivatives. They're going to shut down our healthy banks. They're coming after us. They mean business. So the good news is 3 different talk shows I tuned into sounded like this one this morning, including a liberal one, quasi-liberal. You know, they try to act establishment and play both sides of the fence. And 2 of the shows were plugging Infowars.com. None of the shows were admitting they were at DrudgeReport.com getting the Daily Caller articles. And they do a good job of the Daily Caller. I wish Tucker Carlson, who runs it, wasn't running around saying how evil I was and calling other reporters, saying they work for me when they don't, and cussing and saying I'm scary. Hey, Tucker, I know it's scary that criminal foreign banks funded foreign extremists to at least be part of 9/11, and that's scary. But I'm not the one that's scary. The news is scary. My point is I give credit where credit's due. Rural kids, parents angry about Labor Department rule banning farm chores. So I'm going to give you the rest of the story today on all of this. Jim Tucker's popping in with breaking news on Bilderberg 2012. Can he confirm for us? I don't know yet. I haven't even talked to him. Producer set him up. I haven't talked to him and found out yet. Is it true it's going to be in Chantilly, the site of the 2008 event where Obama was crowned supreme leader? And the Washington Post was in attendance and said it didn't exist. Now they admit it exists and admit they basically appoint who gets to run for president. Ron Paul really wins some states. They just ignore it. They run things. But you begin to, now that we've flushed them out, now they're out in the open. Politically, we've run the quail out from cover. Now we can, in the political wars, dismantle them. They can only carry out a covert takeover that's criminal while concealed. You engage the enemy in the info war. You take fire. You take political casualties. You have your name dragged through the mud. It doesn't matter because you're locked with them, like Ahab and the white whale. Are you with me? I know you are, because something else exciting happened. Just got chills. 5 different sightings from people I know, including photos. Separate areas of Austin, people out holding up Infowars.com signs all over town yesterday. Beautiful. This is starting to happen all over the country. Liberty is rising. I can feel it. No more Mr. Nice Guy. You know, people are asking, why does the government want to pay billions of tax money to ship General Motors to China and Brazil and other countries? Why do they want to put taxes on us, carbon taxes, but not on other countries? They want to bankrupt you. They explain it in Agenda 21. They want to wreck it so that you're dependent on them so they can rebuild it in their image. They don't like you owning private property and being uppity. Jim Tucker, who's coming up in the next segment, repeatedly says one of the top agendas is shutting down the economy. Not too fast because it'll make people rebel, but as quickly as they can, because they throw fits and they say, how can we have 500 people out here protesting us in the middle of the Swiss Alps? How do they have enough money to protest us? And they actually say in meetings, I want them bankrupt now. That is the feudal lord's instinct in every culture, is to have the peasants 1.5 feet shorter from generations of malnutrition, snot running out of their noses, digging around on a tiny piece of property they're allowed to produce, and most of it given to the king's men. The king has dependent soldiers who then police the peasants who produce the food for them. That's the government model. That's how it works. The Club of Rome, the UN, Ted Turner, Prince Philip, Prince Bernhard, all of them say they want a post-industrial, neo-feudal system. That's their word, neo-feudalism, not mine. I'm credited as coining neo-feudalism. I did not. I coined neo-fascistic feudalism, or neo-feudal fascism. The I coined propaganda placement. Years later, they called it their own name, behavior placement. The brainwashing is what they call it. Sometimes they're just honest and say, we got to brainwash the public. I'm the Attorney General. I've been meeting with the media about brainwashing people. We've got to brainwash. We can play the brainwash clip again? You think I'm joking? I was listening again last night to these clips we've got where they're saying mercury's good for kids, lead's good for kids. China executes people for melamine in the milk. Here they just say, hey, your kid's dying, it's good for them. Again, it's reached this cuckoo level, but it's done on purpose to just overwhelm us and shock us until we can't even compute it anymore. This is the main issue that we're discussing. This is what we're talking about here. Is a bunch of crooks that real power isn't just having the biggest gun or the most powerful system of governance or houses or wealth. It's no one is allowed to even survive or eat if you say they can. I mean, I'm going to get into this more later after Jim Tucker leaves us. And I am staggered by the information. But rural kids, parents angry about Labor Department rule banning farm chores. And I went and read the subsections. And sure enough, it's right there. It's a rural affairs, rural council system under Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Defense, and we've written articles about this in the past, that they're going to come in, harass the local farms, jail time for any dust off your field, no hay dust allowed. You're going to have chips on all your chickens and other farm animals. Big Agra's exempt. Big Agra is writing all this. And they go to the EPA and the FDA and the Department of Agriculture, and they just have them write rules. And the bureaucrats are lawmaking outside of law and telling Congress, we'll do what we want even when Congress tells them not to. It's totally illegal. Just like Congress says, hey, you can't launch a war without congressional approval. You got to come to us. And Obama said, no, I don't. I got the UN. The generals get before the senators, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the SecDef, Secretary of Defense, and they say, hey, you got to come to us to launch this Syria thing. You should have come to us on Libya. And they said, no, we don't come to you. We go to the UN. And the senator said, excuse me, that's unconstitutional. That's illegal. And Panetta just said, that's the way it is, Jack. And inside this MAP 21 transportation bill, the IRS can revoke your passport. The IRS can confiscate your guns. Just say you're not allowed to buy guns and have them taken. No law, no judge, no jury. They just say you're bad. That's the new news at Infowars.com that nobody else is talking about, unfortunately. And it goes on. It allows DHS to use and pass around your tax returns. You know, presidents used to get in trouble for getting people's tax returns, then leaking them. Now it says all the federal agencies get your tax return and can pass it out and give it to media, do whatever they want. And I mean, these are just, when you see these people on TV, these are known larcenous criminals, okay? They know they are. They hate this country. They hate you.
We're on the march. The empire's on the run.
An iron curtain of media censorship, of total surveillance is descending across the Western world. A small coterie of private Federal Reserve Group banks has imploded Europe. It is now imploding the United States. The New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, and others admit the U.S. and Europe are in a double-dip recession. It's actually a depression. Remember, we were pessimist porn dealers years ago explaining that we were in a depression, at least a double-dip recession that we never even came out of, and that it was being done by design. We've been proven it right again. Coming up, bill allows IRS to revoke Second Amendment rights by stealth. And we have the subsection. It just gives the total dictatorial right to take gun permits away, to block you at the NICS when you buy a gun through a gun shop, or to revoke your ownership and, I guess, dispatch. It just gives them carte blanche on page 1323 of the transportation legislation 21 map. Continuing, Bank of America has a war on the Second Amendment, telling major gun manufacturers they're closing their accounts because they do not believe in the civilian ownership of firearms under the UN treaty that Obama is openly now saying if reelected, he will try to implement, even if Congress won't ratify. The banks are already going with it. And, of course, they are. The Bank of America is part of the Federal Reserve. It's part of the coup d'etat. Unbelievable information. And, yes, one of the top stories in the country right now, the Department of Defense and Homeland Security, with their new Enviro Corps, this is in the new Rural Commission that Obama set up last year, it's in there, are now going to do spot inspections, and if children are found doing any chores on farms, touching any raw materials, grains, seeds, eggs, milking cows, learning how to be on a farm, that they're killing what's left. 2% of our population is original farms, small farms. 2% of our population lives on small farms. They produce a small amount of our food now. It's Big Agri taking over. Big Agri is financing this. This is so devastating. This is directly out of what Stalin did in the Ukraine. And it's a big wake-up call to people. They're talking about $2,000 fines for dust from hay. But Big Agri is exempt. Total takeover. Total tyranny. Arrested, Amish being arrested for selling lemonade all over the country. Flea markets, Homeland Security raiding them. $15 million fines for garage sales. I'm not joking. That's AP, Fox News. I mean, just total bureaucratic hell. This is the new economy. The big mega corporations and banks want America shut down so we fully implode, so they can buy it up, get everybody on welfare, everybody working for a mega corporation or government. This is the new world order. And this has always been their plan. Jim Tucker, author of the Bilderberg Diary, 36 years covering Bilderberg, forcing it out in the news. I wanted to get you on about the Washington Post last week, who, as you've pointed out, always attends every year and never reports on it, admitting Bilderberg's real and admitting that they basically vet vice presidents like a Rubio. Incredible on that front, but of course the big news, sir, Infowars.com. And this is what intel sources like Gosling, who's been accurate in the past, are saying. They have shut it down for the 3 days in May 31st to the 3rd, so 4 days of June. The Chantilly, Virginia, where you and I were there, where Obama was knighted supreme leader and Hillary stepped down, and the media wouldn't cover it. We were there. Secretive Bilderberg Group set to meet in Virginia, May 31st, June 3rd. Jim Tucker of AmericanFreePress.net joins us and to tell us if his intel can either confirm or deny this situation. Let's cover that first. Jim, you're there in Virginia. You're there in D.C. or close by. You work there at the paper that's in D.C. What is your intel, Jim Tucker?
I am 99% sure that the meeting will be, as you said, May 31, June 3, at the Westfields Marriott, where they met just 3 years ago. Tony Gosling and others